I thought I was going to be doing a review on this film because it's brand new to video-on-demand services, streaming services, but little did I know this film actually came out 9 years ago, and I only received the screener because in the UK they are finally getting it released on streaming services and video-on-demand over there. And it's a movie that's actually called Shiver, not Skin Collector. I guess, UK, do you want it back? Do you want to return it? I completely understand. Shiver, or as it's known now in the United Kingdom, Skin Collector, released actually in 2012 and most recently on video-on-demand services in the United Kingdom, and it's directed by Julian Richards, who has directed such films like Reborn, Charles Dickens's England, Summer Scares, and The Last Horror Movie. And this film is starring Danielle Harris, John Jarratt, and Casper Van Dien, who I know only as Rico from Starship Troopers, so if I refer to him in this review, it's probably just going to be as Rico, because that's who he is. He is Rico. Rico's Rednecks! And I'm reviewing this film because it was a screener sent over to me from gingernutsofhorror.com through a film distribution company by the name of Jenga Films. Gingernutsofhorror.com, again, is a great website where you can go to check out anything that is horror-related. Films, books, TV shows, video games. There are a bunch of reviews on the website, interviews with the directors, the cast, and the crew of all these projects. Go over there, check them out. There's actually a lot of good people that work and collaborate with them. They're really good people. And they sent over the screener bundle from Jenga Films, and this was one of the films that was a part of it. I put it on my to-watch list, and actually I meant to go watch another one, but whatever glitch happened on my TV, this film actually popped up, and I watched 15 minutes of it, realizing, like, I don't think this is about the other one. And then the title of the movie popped up, Skin Collector, and I was like, okay, well, you know, we'll just watch this one, because the introduction here, the first couple of minutes, is actually pretty intriguing. And then the rest of the film happened, and I wanted to, this is what I want to do. Wendy Alden, played by Danielle Harris, is a young secretary in Portland lacking self-confidence and becomes a victim of a savage killer, Franklin Root, played by John Jarratt, who has claimed the lives of a number of other women in the surrounding area. But somehow Wendy finds the resources of courage to fight back and escape her captive, and Franklin doesn't really like that. So now Franklin sets out on a revenge/love tour to recapture Wendy and make her his own. So anytime you give me a chance to watch a film about a serial killer, a documentary about a serial killer, I'm automatically fascinated. Just getting into the mind of what possesses someone to be so evil and messed up to want to go around and kill people just for sport or for whatever reason, I'm fascinating to learn why. And maybe just to reassure myself that, hey Caleb, you're a good person because you don't have these tendencies. Thank you for being you, Caleb. You're great. And I will say, I did feel like that after I was done watching this movie of, you know what, Caleb, I'm glad you don't have these tendencies. From two vantage points. One is not to be this sicko serial killer that John Jarratt portrays, and it's going to take me so much energy not to call him Jeff Jarrett like the wrestler. But one, Caleb, you're not a serial killer, and two, there is no way you would make a terrible film like this. It starts off, and Franklin goes to this diner, and there's this very attractive waitress there that he attempts to ask out because I guess he's trying to have a type of relationship with a younger, more attractive woman, but of course he's just so awkward and, you know, he has these serial killer-like tendencies that the asking out on the date does not go very well, and so after her shift, he takes it out on her by basically beheading her. So I go, okay, I'm interested. I love shows like Law & Order SVU, and this feels like a very SVU type, like, episode. Let's give this a watch. But then the rest of the story unfolds, and you're hoping that you get to dive into the psyche and the mentality behind Franklin and why he does what he does, but you don't. Because I don't think it was actually thought out when the script was written. I think it was really, hey, let's just write a story about this really evil dude who will just kill anyone on a whim. It doesn't matter if he's planning it to be his victim. He doesn't care if you're a cop who's protecting a victim. He will just kill anyone if you're in his way. But really, you don't get that pure evil-ish tendencies unless you're talking about the Joker from Batman. Usually all serial killers, all villains in a story have some kind of reasoning whenever they make a killing, especially with a small-time serial killer like Franklin. He has killed many women, but the idea here is he's trying to assert his dominance and his power over these young, attractive women because I'm assuming someone did him wrong when he was younger, or he was never able to get the girl when he was growing up and when he was living his adult life. So the only way to go about living the rest of his life is to take vengeance on anyone who is attractive and comes into a jewelry store and buys jewelry from him? I don't know. But he will disguise himself as cops and infiltrate the entire police unit very easily and steal his victims that escape him and take them out to his weird barn out in the middle of nowhere place and do what he wants with them. Why? Because reasons. And we're trying to make a thriller here that's supposed to be more than 40 minutes of a Law & Order or CSI episode. I don't know. I guess the main issue that I had with this whole film is that every character in here is just a dumb piece of shit. Every person in here just makes the weirdest, strangest, dumbest decisions I've ever seen characters do in a story. And it makes me not want to root for any of them. I definitely don't want to root for the serial killer, Franklin, just because he's a jerk and a dumbass and just this soulless, psychopathic, killer. I don't want to side with Wendy because she keeps making the dumbest decisions ever. She gets into the custody of the police twice in this movie, and the second time, this Franklin guy is able to put on a police uniform and to take her by the arm and put her in a car to drive her to the police station to keep her safe. And there's not a single point during the whole interaction that she looks up and looks at the officer who is escorting her out into the strange unmarked car. Dumbass! And then Rico, who is our lead detective on this whole serial killer thing, he's just a dumb piece of shit, but he's a nice, good-looking pretty boy, and that's why we have him on the squad, because he makes us all look good. But I feel like me watching so much of Law & Order and CSI, I'm able to figure out the clues and the reasons and how Franklin is able to find all these women and where he's stashed them all out. I feel like I'm able to figure that out much faster than Rico here. You can also tell that this film had no budget, and if it had a budget, it basically all went to Rico, because he's the only one of any name here, but we get to this car chase. I have to put quotations around that. We get to this car chase between Wendy and Franklin. Franklin is in this cop car, and Wendy is in, I guess, her regular car or whatever. And they're driving on this road that is just out in the middle of nowhere, so they're not in the middle of the city. But the cars are supposed to be, bumping into each other. The police car is supposed to be ramming Wendy's car from behind, and you hear the sound effects, they're actually bumping into each other, and pull around, and then they're sideswiping and bumping into the sides, and you hear the sound effects. But then you actually look at what's happening on the screen, and they're missing each other by a mile. They're not touching each other at all, and I know exactly why, because they had no budget to damage cars. I would assume that these cars belong to a stagehand, or the director, or one of the actors, and they're like, yeah, I'm not signing a waiver to have my car demolished, you ain't touching my car, you ain't scratching it up. The whole chase ends where Wendy's car slowly and very safely bumps into just a mound of dirt that you can tell was just constructed for that scene. It's not solid in any way. Lightly taps it and you see the dirt pile over, and the cop car goes off to the other side. You don't see it actually crash or go into a ditch, it just kind of veers off. And then you see Wendy, whose head is on the steering wheel and she's all bloody. It looks like she has a black eye and a broken nose, and she's like, oh god, it was such a terrible crash. And she looks off to the side of her windshield and she sees just this huge explosion. And we don't see that happen with the car, so I'm assuming it was the cop car because it careened into a ditch somewhere? I don't know, but You can tell that the director was definitely constrained with lack of budget, and so they did the George Lucas thing and said, "Oh, it's okay, we'll fix it in post." You did the best you could, but you can only do so much when you can't shoot certain things and you don't have budget for visual effects in any way, shape, or form. And then we also get shots of an actual rape happening, which, you know, that just, it makes you so happy when you see that on screen. And you see everything, too. Like, it lingers on it. It doesn't cut away. Artistically, we're just in this small room with Wendy, you know, screaming for her life, because that's what you would do in that situation. And then you see this old creeper Franklin on top of her and trying to get hard for her. And you know, there's only so many things that I want to see in a movie, and that is just not one of them. Even though it happens a lot in this world, which that's deplorable just knowing that that's unfortunately a truth, but I just didn't want to see it in this movie. Plus, I'm sure watching that scene would be very triggering for someone that has actually gone through a terrible happening like that. So, cool, director, you put it in here because it's a movie about a serial killer. And all of a sudden, now he's graduated from serial killer to a serial rapist. Awesome! An escalation that we really didn't have to go into. I'll tell you one thing, though, it did make me shiver. The actual title. Why it's called The Skin Collector, I have no idea. Whenever I think of Skin Collector, I just think of Goldmember from Austin Powers. Oh yes, oh that's a nice size one. Oh, stop me, I need to put it in my collection. Okay. The story here, I think, started okay. I think maybe someone was writing a treatment of a Law & Order SVU episode, and a studio or a director got a hold of it and was like, hey, let's turn this into a movie. But then what happened is that you have characters that have terrible motivations, character development, and just brains or lack thereof in their heads. That makes all of them not likable, because you just look at them and go, all of you are so freaking stupid. What's next? And then you have choices made by the characters that just come out of nowhere. All of a sudden, they're at one stage in their minds, and then they just leapfrog into another stratosphere of unintelligence and of actions. I don't understand. I don't understand how this movie was made. Who was watching the dailies on this and thought, you know what, let's keep going, as opposed to saying, hey, let's cut our losses and let's pull the plug here before we get deeper into this thing. The movie, I can't recommend at all. I did not have a great time watching this in the slightest. There are so many things in here that can be triggering. The rape scene, like I was talking about, there is an office shooting in here, which, I mean, especially in this country, happens like every other day. There's another shooting to talk about. It just deals with a lot of hard subjects, not in a tasteful way at all, and not in a way that makes us examine it at all. It's just like, hey, let's do this, because he's evil, and he's a piece of shit, so let's put him in this situation, because he's evil, and I don't know why the UK wants this, now that it's streaming on VOD in the UK. It came out 9 years ago. I'm okay with you returning it. Please, I don't know what you were expecting when you bought this one, but yeah, bring it back to the store and we'll give you a full refund. I'm going to give Shiver or Skin Collector half a Blu-ray. No! No! Alright guys, now comes my favorite part of my videos, where I randomly select which movie I'm going to be watching next, so let's take a look. Apocalypto! Mel Gibson film about Mayans, I believe, in the end of the world, if I'm not mistaken. I've never seen it. I do know, I think it was a follow-up to Mel Gibson directing The Passion of the Christ. Like, this came out a couple of years afterwards, I think. All I know is that finding that DVD in physical form, like, in the last couple of years, was very difficult. I remember looking on Amazon, on eBay, and I would see the DVD selling for like $25 at its cheapest. On average, it was like $30, $40, $50, somewhere around there. And I'm going, it's a DVD that came out well over a decade, like 15 years ago. I'm not gonna pay $25 for this DVD, I'm sorry. I do remember finally finding it, though, at a discount resale shop for pretty cheap. And I had scoured several different DVD resale shops, too, so It was a nice little find. It was a nice accomplishment in my DVD collecting history. But I still have not watched it, so we'll check it out next time. If any of you have recommendations of films that you want me to review on here, you can leave a recommendation below this video, or go to my Facebook page, my Instagram, or my Twitter, leave your recommendation there, and if I have access to it, I will watch, review it, and give you a shout on the channel. And if you want me to do your recommendation as quickly as I possibly can and bypass the whole random generator that I have here, you can make a PayPal donation on the main page of my YouTube channel. Any size donation will do, just attach your movie with the donation, and if I have access to it, I will watch it and publish my review of it as quickly as I possibly can. So guys, have you seen Shiver, or anyone in the UK, did you check out Skin Collector? What did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time with my review of Apocalypto. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.